Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Picture this, your heart's stuck in silver, you just lost your match, you open your team chat, and the bottom frag, zero objective, playing teammate, absolutely screaming and the entire loss is your fault. He genuinely believes he plays like a Radiant and the only thing keeping him back is matchmaking. But here is the idiosyncratic mystery. Is he just trolling you to cope with the loss, or does his brain genuinely perceive a completely different reality? As it turns out, introductory psychology has a brutal answer for this. He isn't lying to you, he literally cannot see how bad he is. Today we're breaking down the terrifying cognitive glitch that turns your worst teammates into the most confident players in the lobby, and how to make sure you aren't secretly suffering from it. To understand why your competitive lobbies are so toxic, we have to look at a bizarre real-world crime from 1995. A man named MacArthur Wheeler decided to rob two banks in Pittsburgh in broad daylight. He didn't wear a mask or a disguise. Instead, he covered his face in lemon juice. When the police arrested him later that night and showed him the surveillance footage, Wheeler was utterly stunned. He muttered, "But I wore the juice." So Wheeler knew that lemon juice could be used as invisible ink. So in his mind, logically, coating his face in lemon juice would make him completely invisible to security cameras. He was so confident in this theory that he didn't even bother to verify it. The bizarre heist caught the attention of two social psychologists at Cornell University, Dr. David Dunning and Dunning-Kruger. They wondered, how can someone be so profoundly incompetent at a task, yet so absolutely certain that they are a genius? In 1999, they published a landmark study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. They tested participants' skill like logic, grammar, and humor, and then asked them to guess how well they did compared to everyone else. The results were jaw-dropping, consistent, and explain exactly why your gaming lobbies are the way they are. Let's map out what Dunning and Kruger discovered, because it mapped perfectly onto every competitive ranking system ever created. When someone has absolutely zero knowledge about a game, their confidence is naturally at zero. They know they don't know anything. But the moment a player learns just a little bit of information, they learn the basic layout of the map, they memorize one character's abilities, or they just hit a lucky clip, their confidence instantly skyrockets straight to the maximum level. Psychologists call this peak on the graph the peak of Mount Stupid. This is your teammate who has played this game for exactly 2 weeks, watched one professional guide on YouTube, and now genuinely believes they understand MicroStrategy better than anyone else. But watch what happens next. As the player actually gets better at the game, their confidence doesn't go up, it plummets. They enter what psychologists call the valley of despair. Why? Because as you actually gain true competence, you develop the ability to see how much you don't know. You realize your aim isn't perfect, your positioning is flawed, and the game is vastly more complex than you initially realized. Only after hundreds of hours of deliberate practice and true mastery does the line slowly climb back up along the slope of enlightenment to the plateau of sustainability. This is where actual top-tier players sit, highly skilled, but with a grounded, realistic view of their abilities. So what is the actual neurological or psychological mechanism causing this delusion? Why does the bottom fragger truly believe they are a god? It all boils down to a foundational concept in behavioral psychology called metacognition. Metacognition is simply your brain's ability to analyze its own performance, to literally think about your own thinking. Dunning and Kruger realized that the exact same skills required to be good at a task are the exact same skills to evaluate if you are good at the task. In a tactical shooter or a fighting game, a high-level player has the metacognitive capabilities to realize, I died there because I didn't clear my corners, my crosshair placement was low, and I wasted my ability or my utility. But a low-skilled player lacks the very framework needed to recognize those mistakes. They don't know what proper crosshair placement looks like. So when they look at their own gameplay, it looks flawless to them. Their brain completely skips the self-evaluation phase and jumps straight to the easiest external explanation. The game is broken, my teammate is throwing, the enemy is cheating. They suffer from dual burden. They are incompetent, and their incompetence completely strips them of the cognitive tools required to realize it. The Dunning-Kruger Effect isn't just a meme to use when you want to roast someone in a Discord call. It's a psychological trap that every single one of us falls into when we try to learn something new. So how do you escape the valley of despair and actually rank up? First, review your own bots. When you are in the heat of a match, your brain doesn't have the spare cognitive bandwidth for metacognition. Watching your gameplay back when your heart rate is normal forces your brain to see reality objectively. Second, welcome criticism. The easiest way to shatter the illusion of Mount Stupid is to let a high-ranking player absolutely tear your strategy apart. It hurts the ego, but it rewires the cognitive perception. Third, focus entirely on variables you can control. The moment you blame a loss on the teammate, you stop looking at your own metrics, and you lock yourself firmly at the peak of the delusion curve. So, the next time someone in your lobby starts screaming about how incredible they are while sitting at the bottom of the scoreboard, don't get angry. Just smile. Remember Dr. Dunning and Dr. Kruger and realize how you are witnessing a live textbook psychological phenomenon in its natural habitat. Subscribe if you want your brain expanded for the next video essay. And we'll see you in the next lobby. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but sometimes when you learn something new, you start to see it everywhere. For example, if you learned a new word like anomaly, for example, it starts to show up everywhere. Well, you aren't imagining that, and no, you're not going crazy. And yeah, AI is listening to you, but that's not entirely the case. If you're interested in finding out about that, go ahead and click this video on your left right now, and I'll see you there.